What's up? Welcome to the unofficial Tedeschi Trucks podcast. This is episode number 107, and I am Adam Choit. To follow this show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram and on YouTube. Just search Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. If you are watching, you are already there, so please be sure to subscribe, give the show likes, shares. I appreciate all that for sure. I'm at Adam Choit on Instagram and Twitter if you want to follow me. I won't get into all my other plugs and podcasts and projects. That's the easiest way to find all my stuff is just following me on Instagram or Twitter at Adam Choit. Please be sure, of course, to subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. I will be putting out an audio version of this. I'll try to do that maybe later tonight or tomorrow or something like that because I know people listen to the show as well, and that is definitely appreciated too. I'm going to get into today's episode, the meat and potatoes of it, fairly shortly. I'm excited to do that because Tedeschi Trucks Band, of course, was at the Warner Theater in Washington, D.C. for their second of two runs in 2023, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, March 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. And for helping us to recap that, I have Jeff Fink here, who I'm going to bring on in a moment. He's a past guest of this show, of course. He's based in Texas, if I recall correctly, so he must have traveled to see this one. And it's it's cool that you guys all travel, myself included, to shows from time to time. It just goes to show how much we love this band. So without further ado, I believe we're ready to bring in Jeff Fink. And later on, I believe Bob Farrell is going to join us to talk about night 3 of 3, because that's the only night he was there. So I'll bring him on a little later. Hopefully he's able to join. But without further ado, let's get into it. So here's Jeff Fink. What's up?
Hey, what's up, Adam?
Oh, I see you and I hear you. Everything's working. All the technical things are good to go. We're all set.
We're all live.
That's good to know. Good to see. Good to hear for sure. How are you?
I'm doing well. As you mentioned, I traveled, so I'm in DC. I came here. I have a work thing this whole week, so it worked out perfectly. I checked the calendar, saw this, so came out Thursday, make sure I could catch TTB before I got work this week.
So you're in DC right now still?
Yeah.
Where are you at? Airbnb or something like that?
Yeah, this is the Airbnb.
I figured that because I'm like that doesn't look like a hotel. And if his work thing is this week, I'm like a detective over here. I'm like it must be an Airbnb.
Yeah, it's Airbnb.
Very cool. So you must be having a ball, having a party over there, in a manner of speaking.
I guess so.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm gonna try and go to bed at 9.
Oh, the last
this weekend. Yeah.
Yeah, you must be. It's real probably exhausting. Yeah, just going to the shows, and it's like, even if you're not partying hardcore or drinking a lot or anything like that, just the not stress, but the excitement is like, it's positive, of course, but it can be exhausting at some. I don't know how the band does it themselves. I wonder about that all the time. Like, it's exhausting just going to shows as a fan in a good way, of course.
Yeah.
Because I've talked about with probably you or others, and I'm sure it's come up at the end of the show. You feel like spiritually fulfilled, like you feel like you went through some kind of like journey, like you feel like you've gone through a whole experience in a sense. So it does take some energy for sure. Why don't you tell me about your this is the first time you've been to the Warner Theater?
Yeah, this is my first trip to the Warner. Yeah.
Oh, well, tell me about night 1 and I guess arriving, and I'll pull up the set list and I should get some pictures up. That would be good too.
Yeah. So I got in all the flights, everything worked out well, which was great. I got in Thursday around like 4:00, and Airbnb was all set up, ready to go, as you caught on to, and staying it's like a 6-minute drive, but like a 15-20 minute walk from the Warner. So Thursday, yeah. So I got in, got a little food, and then walked over to the Warner. It appears as if it's in an office building of some sort. So it's like, it's not a big like standout from the outside, but Yeah, like you can like if you look over to the kind of the fourth one on the right.
Here you got some shots.
Yeah,
Here.
like coming down the major street. I mean, it's in between a bunch of big buildings, so on like a narrower street for DC. But yeah, beautiful inside, huge chandelier. I remember that. Yeah, that big chandelier right there. Yeah, gorgeous old school theater. People were calling it like the smaller version of the Beacon.
What is I'm curious what the capacity is
I don't know. That's a good question.
for the Warner Theater. Let's see here. It says right here.
Is it like?
Oh, it is. It is.
18?
Yeah, it's under 2,000. 18 was to say 18.
What's Beacon? Like
18.
2,500?
I think, yeah, at least. Bacon might be 3,000 or even more. 28.94. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, right around that. Yep.
Yeah, 1,000 less. Yeah, it's definitely a smaller Warner. It felt smaller too.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, what a beautiful place. Just like looking at those pictures and seeing, they love these theaters, these beautiful, pretty theaters to play at.
Yeah, for sure. The sound's so good in there, and in the theaters too, in general. And I thought the sound was great in there too. But yeah, it was. I mean, it was easy to get into. There was no there wasn't a scene, like a big scene outside, but it was just super easy to get in. Got there like maybe 20 minutes before the opener.
That's good. That's always convenient. How did it feel though compared to? I mean, you described the theater. And we looked at some photos, but was there anything that struck you? I mean, the chandelier, but like as far as comparing it to other places where you're like, wow, this is the coolest place I've ever been to. Wow, this is really. I guess I'll let you answer. What's up, David Flam?
I wasn't. Oh, what's up, Flam? So I wasn't really. I wasn't really like taken back by anything. The chandelier, I guess the chandelier was the big thing that kind of stood out to me, and some of the like ornate, like there were chandeliers like out in the hallway too and upstairs. It was just like a smaller, just felt more intimate and like cozier than some of the bigger theaters.
I believe it. I believe that. When was this place open? This was in
It's just kind of like
1924. Yeah. So this place, the Ryman, a lot of these very historic places, like this makes for, I think, a better show in some regard. Like what I was talking about last week a little bit, and maybe you could speak to this. Maybe a little bit different in DC than in a music city like Nashville. But it seems like when you go to some of these historic venues or potentially like the venue itself and the people who work there and everyone surrounding it has a deeper respect for music and music history, and that makes for an overall better experience. Is there anything to that, even going to the Warner?
I wish I knew more of the history, to be honest with you. I didn't, like, all the staff was awesome. I went and talked to, because I showed up a little bit early, and so I asked them like what time the opener was on, and like all the staff outside, they pulled out their like call sheet and they showed me, and it told them what time the opener was, what time the band was supposed to start, and they're like, of course this could change, but here's the general idea. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of nice. So I got to go for like a little bit of a walk around the area before, but yeah, everyone was really friendly and sweet. It was, yeah, it's like right when you go in, it's a little like tight there, like all of the merch is on the left, and then you get in line there, and the line kind of takes you up the stairs, and then the right side is the bar. So you're kind of like, it pushed me at least to like find a spot to go. So I was like, I might as well just go to my seat.
That's the thing with historic venues for anything, whether it's a stadium, an arena, or a theater. It's like a lot of them are nice and have even been redone and fixed up or kept well over the years, but they're smaller, and especially in the common areas and the public areas, you just don't have the convenience and the access, the giant concourses and that you get at some newer venues with shorter bathroom lines and food lines. Everything is just a little bit tighter, which kind of makes for a unique experience and a better, more intimate one in some regards. Should we get into the set list, I guess, for night one?
Sure.
I can just keep talking about the venue. I'll pull that up here. Let's get that ready.
Yeah, there was an opener on Thursday. This guy, I wrote it down. This guy Jack Broadbent. just him on guitar, singer songwriter, blues, played slide, like guitar. He was sitting down, so he had like the guitar on his lap.
The lap slide.
Yeah. And he played with like an empty, like a whiskey flask. It looked like a metal flask that he was playing the slide with.
Wow.
So that was really fun to watch. And he was really great. He seemed to be having a great time too, and just giving shout outs to the band for inviting him to come up, and super excited to be there. But he was solid. I definitely recommend checking him out.
How was the crowd's reaction to him? I'm sure some people are starting to fill in and things like that. But if those who were, paying attention,
he got a standing ovation at the end of his set. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah, I'll have to dig in on that. Yeah, and like I've talked about, and we've talked about, it's just like that's what you get with Derek and Susan. They introduce you to new music through artists that they champion on the road or share stage time with, or we get all this new music as through their covers, as we've talked about with things like Mr. Clean and who knows what else they have covered over the last year, 2, 3, 4 and beyond, that have introduced all of us to new tunes. No, that's great here. All right, here we go. I'm gonna read it out for the listeners, and then we'll dive into it. Misunderstood, laugh about it, so heavy. Everybody's got to change sometime. Ain't that something? The Gary Outside Woman Blues part of me. I know. Keep on growing. Shame. Don't think twice. Key to the Highway. I want more. The River and Down in the Fly. I took this off the band's Instagram page, so I don't know. I almost should have pulled up should have dug up some of the doctored ones that the fans get. They're probably more accurate, but I'm sure you have the detailed notes.
Yeah, I started a few years ago. I started nerding out and just in my like notes on my phone trying to write down the set list, and sometimes I'll even go and update the set list.fm. Usually someone gets there way before me though. But yeah, it looks like exactly what I have. Yeah, I'm curious, like what stood out for you?
For me, what stood out for me? That's I love all the stuff. To hear I Know, again, that we were talking about off air before we started streaming, is how like all these shows, partly besides all the songs being awesome, the band being awesome, is that like you get these like sort of surprises or things you're not thinking of or not expecting. And that's all fans, new fans, old fans, current, no matter how long you've been following the band. But like they haven't played I Know, the Derek Trucks Band song, all that much. And I listen to that song fairly often. There's a version from the Beacon 2021. I partly remember this because that was the first show. I think it was October 6th, 2021. It was the first TTB show I had been to, probably in 2+ years at that point. And I was listening to a lot of the Derek Trucks Band stuff at the time, live stuff, whatever. I'm like, oh, I know that was kind of in my, regular playlists that day. So to hear that was super cool. And that was a great version, that one back at the Beacon. But I like this too a lot, like everything. And even Don't Think Twice, they've been kind of cutting back a little bit on, haven't played it as much. So to hear that, like, it never gets old. I mean, the song is covered by everybody, including myself in my living room from time to time. But like it just never gets old, and it always hooks you in, certainly.
Yeah. No, I love that. Yeah, it was neat to see the Derek Trucks Band stuff that they brought in, and I guess the other thing that was going on is that Wayne Shorter had passed away.
Right, I did see that. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, no, you're good. And I guess that's not on here. And then I didn't know it until Susan made a comment that there's a Gershwin Award that's at the Library of Congress that was on, and I looked it up later, but it was on Wednesday. So a bunch of people were in town giving Joni Mitchell the Gershwin Award, and there was a tribute to her. So she said that after she did, I think it was after she did The River. It was at some point. The other thing that's not on here is in between Keep on Growing, and it was the Shame opener.
Footprints.
Yeah.
Right. That was awesome.
Yeah, and it was like had to have been like 6-7 minutes. It was like a full version. It wasn't like a tease like they'll do sometimes. So that was really sweet. Yeah, it was fun. Yeah, they went back to Misunderstood. I guess is that the first or the second album, Misunderstood?
I think that is from yeah, I forget actually. I think yeah, that
It's
definitely one of
early
the
though.
first
Yeah,
2.
it's earlier stuff because they've been starting a lot of the. I was excited because they've been starting a lot of the sets with like some of the newer stuff, and this seemed to kind of jump into the older stuff at the beginning, which was like a change up from what they've been doing lately, at least, which was awesome. And I'm kind of jumping around, but
Do it.
all right, cool. The I wrote down that and Ain't That Something, the Susan her solo at the end of that was just incredible. Just kind of lifted the whole room, started getting things going, and then in Outside Woman Blues, I wrote that was when like it, to me at least, it felt like the energy kind of shifted. I remember seeing like Falcon's drumstick went flying at one point, which I'm sure it does a bunch of nights, but one of his drumsticks went flying, and I know Derek and Susan were going back and forth playing off of each other. They did an opener there too, and Derek just like tore the roof off at the end of that, and then it went into Part of Me, and I think you messaged me too. Alicia went off on Part of Me, like
Alicia,
yeah, like she always does something on that, but I felt like she went off and did a really long riff, and it was just like you're like a spiritual experience, just amazing voice, and just moved me. So
yeah.
yeah, go
Yeah, it's
ahead.
like I was gonna say, no 2 Derek solos, intros, parts of songs that we've heard hundreds of times are exactly the same, and it's the same way whether on a Mark and Alicia vocal
Mm.
solo part, no 2 are exactly the same, and they're always getting better and surprising you with new things, and always making you feel more than anything. Like here, we got some comments from David Flam mentioning that some new songs or some songs were not played at the Ryman. First 4 were not played at the Ryman. Are you sure about that? It's So Heavy wasn't played. These songs have all been played, and laugh about it. They've almost not played at all in 2023, but the others we've heard in 2023, but maybe not at the Ryman. So it all kind of blends together, especially as I'm listening to all
Yeah,
these.
I don't remember. I was at Ryman. I actually saw David there, but I don't remember. He's probably right.
Yeah, this for sure is correct right here. What he's saying here. Also, I know Keep on Growing, Don't Think Twice, The River, and Down in the Flood, not played at the Ryman. Yeah, like you never get sick of these songs. They always know the right amount to play things, what to play, bring back some fresh things. Just so sensitive to the needs of the hardcore fans, and
Yeah,
it's essentially.
yeah, for sure, for sure. And what else? And then after that Part of Me, as you mentioned, I Know, which was great to hear them do some DTB, and then Keep on Growing. That's like one of my favorite songs. I mean, that I like my dad. One of the first albums my dad gave me to like showing me music was the Derek and the Dominoes, Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs. So like I love that song. I actually put it on my like email signature. It's like how I sign off on stuff. So I that never gets old for me, even listening to like the recording album version of it.
In your email signature, do you give the context that it's a song, or you just have like it's more like just a quote? I'm not saying it's good or bad. It's almost good in a way that it's sort of vague in that sense. Like to some people who are music fans are going to ask you, is that from the song? Is that kind of, as you don't specify that it's from a musical thing?
It's a really fun reaction, to be honest with you. Like I really enjoy seeing how people respond to it. Some people won't say anything. Some people are like, they call out the song and like know exactly what it is. And then some people just have like a fun banter with me, that'll be like, always keep learning or keep on growing, or, you know, like,
They don't know that you're quoting something. They're like, yeah, but that's
yeah,
good too. It's keeping it positive. Now, of course, what I'm doing is looking at least this set list because we have it up. I'm like, what can I put in my don't think twice, it's all right. I'll put that at the end of
yeah, do it, do it.
all of my things.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I signed it off like you would write like thank you or like regards, comma. I put
I
keep
see.
on
Yeah, I've seen
growing,
people. Yeah,
comma,
I've seen people do that, of
Jeff.
course, with their email signatures. Shame was super cool to hear. I had a little moment the other day walking out of the gym listening to Shame, the last part of it. Like that always
With
does
the
kind of get
echo.
me. Yeah, so haunting. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I have a whole personal history with the song, as I do all Tedeschi Trucks Band songs. So they always take me back to certain feelings and moments. And no, I that song means a lot to me, certainly.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, that echo that they have at the end with
Right.
Susan's
Anytime they do
voice.
that anytime they do that is so cool. Whether it's like, I always talk about how they'll do that on like when Susan does whipping post or things like that. That cool echo. It's just so haunting. And they never overuse any of these sort of elements in their sound. There's whether like the exception to the rules is when the drummers are not using their sticks. It's when they don't overdo the duels between Susan and Derek. They don't overuse Mike, Mark, Alicia, but you get enough of all of them and they all get their chance to shine. There's such a great balance to this
Mm,
band. It's impressive. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't we all have our dream set list and things, and people always want to hear things and make suggestions for covers and this and that. But I never really have any specific legitimate gripes about any of the musical choices this band makes. And I feel like as a fan, like, and you this way too, and many of us do, it's like we see the method to the madness. We know why certain things were chosen. Oh, this is the Susan solo song for the night. This is the Derek and we kind of get why I think certain choices are made throughout these set lists to make for a great combination of songs. I'm
yeah.
rambling.
No, I couldn't agree with you. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah, I totally. It's it's like, even if I do want something and I don't get it, I'm still really happy with what I got.
We had a soul sacrifice as well on with I Want More, I think, right? That's
Yeah, we did. In the again the yeah, that footprint. So like the footprints was like mind blowing in itself, and like big jazz fan. Never really like dug deep into Wayne Shorter, but I know footprints, and so that I was super pumped to hear that, and then just like mind blown, surprised that it went directly into Shame, and that was I was like I turned to the person next to me. I was like, "Is that are they doing Shame really?" And so that was so freaking cool. And then I remember he might have gone back into it, or maybe he didn't go. I have to listen to it again, but I remember at the end of Shame, like his Derek solo was just way more jazzy than I usually remember it. And so maybe he was just on that vibe, or he went back into it. But I just remember it being super like a jazzy version at the end.
something was different, and something struck me as well, and I can't really put my finger on it as well. Maybe it is the connection to what they were playing before that with the footprints. But yeah, no, like we're saying, every night you're getting a different version of even sometimes the same songs they're playing on a particular run. So you never know. You're always kept on your toes. Should we dive into the second set here?
Yeah, well, no, that's they only did one set.
Oh yeah,
So,
Thursday was just one
yeah,
set.
we can
That's
do
right.
it.
That's right.
You're right though. They did. I Want More into Soul Sacrifice, and then I remember I Want More had a really awesome solo, and Brandon Boone on bass did a solo there, which was awesome. And to your point, like right, everyone got a little spot, but nothing too much, and nothing like you felt like someone didn't. And then River, I think that's when Susan gave a shout out to Joni Mitchell too, and then that I love the Down in the Flood in too. I think they've ended with that, but that was the other thing I didn't know if they've ended with that before.
I don't know if they've ended with it, but they've obviously played that song. But it's been a minute
Yeah.
since they've played that as well. I love the way Brandon's solos just kind of build, and the drums and Derek. It's just the right amount of sprinkling of those elements to kind of keep you steady throughout, so to speak, throughout his solos. Like, yeah, he's a force unto himself.
Yeah,
Certainly.
he was getting funky too.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see.
All right.
There we go.
This is night 2. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Night 2, set 1, Friday. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Here, my dear, fall in. I'm the moon. Circles around the sun. Passaquan just won't burn. And I can't make you love me. I'm reading that. Mm-hmm. Crescent.
Yeah, Crescent.
I'm not sick of it. I don't think I don't think I'll ever be.
That.
I'm looking at this. I'm. You know what it is? I'm almost sick of. Not sick of, but looking at the words on the page, it's like I'm almost tired of seeing, because I'm doing a lot of writing with the podcast. I'm reading things. I'm catching up. I'm online. I'm seeing the words. I'm more tired of seeing the words than the songs. I love all the songs. But yeah, no, I've listened to each of these songs just probably today. I think even now Circles and Passaquan, of course, obviously tied at the hip, and every Passaquan is its own unique thing. I think it was Rich. I keep bringing this up. I think it was Rich Bernard who was at, I think, last night's show, but another fan who couldn't make the podcast, a past guest, and he did a whole breakdown of different Idol wins, his favorite versions and whatnot. I think some fan, whether it's Rich or someone else, it's not going to be me, is going to break down like all the different live Passaquans and like what the difference is and what stood out. Like, they're all awesome, so it's not like I can't even begin to rank them. Obviously, the band is probably more sensitive to how the song is evolving, and it certainly is evolving, and they're getting more and more into it and digging deeper and trying new things throughout. But like, yeah, there's just so many things to talk about with that song and so many directions to go, and it, like I keep saying, it like deserves its like own episode. That's just the song. Like, I could even talk about the whole broader Passaquan place and connection to that, and the whole I Am the Moon story, and just so much content to dive into. But again, I'm rambling, and I just love all these songs.
No, you're good. Yeah, I do too. It's funny when you said that, because I was like thinking to myself, I'm not getting tired of it, and they've done it a bunch, and I was trying to count how many times I might have seen it now. Maybe this is my 3rd time I've seen it, the full Crescent in a row. But yeah, it does not get old, and I'm still loving it. And the fall in on this one actually stood out to me, and I remember the fall in it was longer than normal. They like stretched the whole thing out.
Right.
Like. Yeah. And I think, if I remember correctly, I think it's Kebby that's on that one. That's doing, I'm trying to remember who's in the horns. It's either him or Ephraim, or maybe I'm not remembering it right.
Yeah, those outros.
Yeah. And just like the like grooves that are in Fall In, and yeah. I really like that song. I really liked what they did with it that night. And Derek was doing, and maybe I just haven't noticed it before, but he was doing this thing with his slide where he was like tapping against like the top of the neck of the guitar. By the way, I should add in, I had like awesome seats the whole Thursday. I won the lottery.
Where were you sitting? I forgot.
Thursday, I was 2nd row on Susan's side on the aisle in the center orchestra every single night.
Wow.
Yeah. Thursday night was 2nd row aisle. And then this was Friday night, and I was 4th row on Derek's side. So I had a better view of Derek, and I had like his PA amp was like right in front of me. So I was hearing like straight from his amp, which might've been part of it. But I remember him tapping the neck and getting these they were like these guttural noises like out of the guitar from the slide, and and he was like messing with it and soloing with it, and it was really fun to watch.
Yeah,
and
they
hear.
keep doing new things. He keeps
Yeah.
doing new things, at least things that I haven't seen or heard or things that stand out. Maybe he's like, "Yeah, I've been doing this since 1997," but
Right.
I for all we know.
90s.
But it's at least it's something that's catching our attention. Not that all the music is catching our attention, but we keep noticing these new things. Not to jump ahead, but even just listening to, obviously, I was listening to as much of night 3 as I could. Just listening to him do his like solo on like Learn How to Love. I'm like, is that Jimi Hendrix? Are these Jimi Hendrix sounds? Like that's the thing with this band. You're not just getting Tedeschi Trucks Band. You are getting Derek Trucks, you're getting Susan Tedeschi, you're getting the Allman Brothers, Derek and the Dominoes, Jimi Hendrix, Eric Clapton, B.B. King, Freddie King. You're getting all this music and so much more just from this one band that's being true to themselves and bring their own spin on things, bring their own ideas.
Totally. And there's like the Indian influence with the sitar kind of
Right.
sounds coming through, and the Dr. John, I mean, we see it on Gilded Splinters or hear it, but maybe that's what I'm catching on to some of this too. But those like New Orleans jazz blues kind of funk that comes through. I love those too.
Yeah, that's why this band and how this band is able to sustain us and we never get sick of the music is because it's so diverse unto itself, their own catalog and all the styles that these 12 people bring to the band. It's like you just never get sick of it. I like Back to Fallen. It's just like, the song's over, but it's like, nah, you're halfway through, and you're only halfway through, and it's one of the more like kind of upbeat, but also kind of quiet types. I know they've been building up the Fallen like solo parts and things towards the end. It does build up a little bit, but for essentially it's a little bit of a quieter, it's like sick groove that Derek and the rest of the band get going on. Certainly. Yeah, Just Won't Burn. That's been a showstopper on these shows lately for sure.
Yeah, Susan just tearing up the stage. Yeah, that one was awesome. Her as you mentioned it, like one of her big like solo songs where she just kind of lifts the whole audience, and everyone was on their feet, on their feet everywhere I was on Friday and Thursday and Friday night. It was a little bit more of a sitting crew on Saturday, but everyone was already.
Everyone got tired.
I'm trying to remember. There was a song, maybe so. It was like Saturday, like I need to chill.
There was something too that I sat the most. I did when I went to 5 Beacon shows. I kind of sat the last night, but that was more because I was having a little trouble finding somewhere to stand. But I ended up realizing I'm like, it's probably good for me to like chill out a little bit. I was in the balcony, so like
sometimes you need a break. Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. Just sometimes there's those songs where like even the people that are sitting, they get pulled up from their seats, and it's fun to kind of recognize the energy of the show is just like pulling people off their seats.
Yeah, that's a credit to the band to get the sitters to stand, certainly for sure.
And then,
go on.
Yeah. No, you were getting ready.
No, I was going to go on to the next one, but what else?
You got to keep me moving. I'll keep.
No, no. What do we got? We're halfway through, and we got two more. Oh, we got 3 more sets to go.
Good. No, we're doing good.
We're getting there.
I Can't Make You Love Me. Yeah, I mean, was it the Bonnie Raitt cover?
Yeah, I'm not crying. You're crying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't remember tearing up on this one at all, but I have definitely before, but not this version. But it's beautiful, man.
You will.
Yeah.
Listen back to. I want to also thank Alex Leary for the recordings as well from the weekend. Those are greatly appreciated from the bottom of my heart. Certainly. Yeah, you will tear up listening to I Can't Make You Love Me. Such a universal theme that everyone can relate to.
Yeah.
Just from the title of the song, you don't have to explain anything about the lyrics or even the music itself.
Oh, totally. The second set got me a little bit, but yeah, I agree. And just Gabe, all the songs that Gabe and Susan do together, they're just beautiful.
And I love the balance in the set and how this set was composed. Obviously, with Passaquan gives Susan a break, but then Susan Tedeschi comes back on stage and gets, her shine, obviously, with Just Won't Burn, and I Can't Make You Love Me to close out the set. Here we got set 2 of Friday, Somehow La-Di-Da, Crying Over You, Bell Bottom Blues Any Day, Take Me As I Am, I Pity the Fool, I Wish I Knew, Soul Sweet Song, Let's Go Get Stoned. I'm going to make sure I get the doctored upset lists for future reference, because obviously I know they played a Blue Sky tease a little part in Derek got into that attached to Any Day. And I think you'll probably know the answer to this, or someone will, is when he went into Blue Sky, I think he teased and did some of the riffs from the Stony Brook version. I'm pretty sure he added in some other riffs and licks from the Blue Sky history of live versions.
He might have. I honestly don't know it well enough to know I got something exciting I can go check out, but I don't even know the Stony Brook reference to.
That's your assignment. Listen to the Stony Brook version of the Allman Brothers. I think it's the quintessential version, or if one considers it that, I totally can see myself agreeing with that. And you also have to cry during I Can't Make You Love Me. That's your other assignment. No, but it was
no, those are good assignments. No, I love it. That Any Day, Blue Sky, everyone, you could hear everyone screaming, getting excited when it went into Blue Sky. And, another one of those moments where it just felt like the kind of the energy shifted for this night was when that Blue Sky came up. And then they went into Take Me As I Am, which was like really interesting to go from that fast pace. Like, I don't know if Any Days, if it's as fast paced, but it's
the energy.
It's a faster kind of energy. To Take Me As I Am is slow, but it was Take Me As I Am. Coming from that, it felt like you were still up on this huge adrenaline rush, but being held by Take Me As I Am. So that felt
interesting.
Yeah, that felt beautiful. And then this, I Pity the Fool.
Dude,
did you listen to it?
I did, but Susan at the end is just. I'm a little afraid of her.
She was visibly red.
She's mad about a few things, and I get that.
I loved it.
That was the most,
man.
That was the most. Yeah, that was the most. I think that was the most furious. At least I hadn't seen video, but just vocally listening, it almost sounded like a male voice a little bit, to be honest with you. Yelling. I mean, as a compliment, complimenting her range and emotion. And range of emotion. But that was super impressive. I can't wait to dig back into all of these songs in Alex Leary's recordings, because I've only listened to really everything once, and I don't have the detailed notes that you have. I kind of listen to these shows how I normally listen to Tedeschi Trucks, or often is like going through my life, and it's the background and the backdrop and the soundtrack rather to my life. So I'm super excited to dive back into all of these. Yeah, I mean, I have comments, and I just love all these. So this is just a fabulous set list. Take Me As I Am just reminds me of something from the 60s. I keep harping on that. It sounds like a Mad Dogs type song. Yeah. Just like a real heartfelt, genuine sort of, almost like a hippie ballad a little bit in a sense. But I mean that as a compliment and a good. It's one of my favorites from this album. Play that shit at my funeral.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
I like that reference to older song. That resonates a lot.
It sounds it could be almost sounds like, oh, they're doing like a Beatles cover or something like that.
Right.
In some ways, yeah.
Oh, like one of George Harrison's.
Right. Yeah. Like even when they're not covering a George Harrison song or doing a cover, you're still getting those. I like bands that sound like old bands. I like new bands that sound like old bands in a lot of sense. But yeah, this was just a super great set list. Just jumping around, it's like Crying Over You again. They haven't played that. I don't think they played that in 2023.
The other ones I mean, Bell Bottom they play a lot somehow, in La Di Da I've heard, but I couldn't remember. I don't think
No,
maybe Dave's still on, but I can't remember. They definitely didn't play it at Ryman, but I can't remember the last time Crying Over You was played.
you could hear on the recordings there's a guy who yells out, "Yes, yes," and you could tell that like he's one of those like hardcore TTB fans who knows all the songs, probably loves all the songs, but like it's a little bit harder to maybe challenge that type of, not challenge, but like surprise with like something that's unexpected. And that was certainly something that's unexpected, and I'm such a fan of that as well. And that's a song that obviously they take in all different directions, especially with the second half of it. But Mike is so smooth, and you can hear the crowd oohing and eyeing whenever you hear someone's first vocal, first guitar line, first part, first real solo of the night. There's always oohs and ahs from the crowd.
Oh
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
You remind me, call back to the Down in the Flood. There was another fan that noticed Derek's like black and white guitar and was like, they're doing Down in the Flood. They're doing Down in the Flood. That's the only song he pulls that out for.
Right.
Which is always, it's kind of fun to hear that. And yeah, Mike's been like, I don't know, maybe probably the whole band. I just been noticing like Mike's having a big smile up there, and just the whole band. It's really fun to see them like trading. I think you've talked about it before, but just trading smiles back and forth, and the nods they have at each other, whether they miss a note or miss something, or they hit something awesome. Like they're just continuously smiling and having fun.
Yeah, that's real. And I've asked Kebby about that. Is the chemistry real? Is it fun? Do you guys love this music and each other as much as it all seems like from afar? And it seems like it's a real thing. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's ups and downs, and everybody's human and has you know, troubles and struggles and quarrels from time to time. But overall, and from afar as fans, and just from everything I've seen and heard, like it's all real. Like the love of each other, the love of the music, all the love, if you will.
Yeah, it's noticeable. It's noticeable. It definitely comes through in their music too. You can feel it.
I love Somehow in La Di Da also, just the top of this again. Somehow they haven't played too much, and that's one of my favorites. Like everything is one of my favorites. How could everything be one of my favorite? But it really is just such a cool tune. Yep.
La Di Da is such a sweet song too. It's a fun, sweet song, and I was still blown away. Yeah, I agree. I'm still like eyeing that I Pity the Fool, man. It was awesome. That was where I started to tear up, that for sure. Like that Pity the Fool, Susan lit it all out.
I was scared.
Yeah.
Of it. Don't yell at me. I didn't do it.
I loved it. I was like, bring it.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some video of it. I haven't dug too much. First, I just listen to the audio, and then I look. Oh, there's no audio, and then I go into the video, or I'll just go into it's a whole hierarchy of how I go about this stuff. Really, watch or listen to anything I could is when I can. Essentially, is how it works.
Yeah. Yeah, you got your look. You're like the way
system.
You take your medicine, your system to your medicine. I call this my medicine. A lot of people are saying it's their like religious or spiritual thing, and I'm like, I call it my medicine.
I'm on the record. There's podcast episodes of me calling it medicine or medicine for the soul. Yes. Certainly with what this band does. What else should we talk? I love hearing Soul Sweet song.
Getting me to cry. Oh, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say they did a little intro going into Soul Sweet song. They're even starting to build a little bit more around that song, like taking a little time getting into it,
Yeah.
Which is cool to see.
The Soul Sweet song, and then they've got Kofi's picture
right
comes up on the back, which is awesome. Gets probably most of us every time. I think I don't remember them stretching this one out. It's probably because they did it in the encore and we're doing Let's Go Get Stoned and doing two songs. But I like that Soul Sweet song a lot. But I mean, before that, I Wish I Knew. I'm a big Ephraim fan, and I love his opener that he does on there.
Yep.
And then that was the one that I started tearing up on. that one gets me a lot. But when Mark and Alicia riff off of each other and go back and forth, that one always gets me. That one strikes deep. And so I really love that, and I love that like finish to the set. And then as you were talking about the Soul Sweet song and the Let's Go Get Stoned is like it's just such a fun way to like end the show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, certainly that gets everyone on their feet. I feel like they could even flip those. I feel like you could even go Let's Go Get Stoned and then do Soul Sweet Song after that. I wouldn't complain if they did that. I think they did that. Did they do that last year when I saw them at the Fox? I know they played Soul Sweet Song as part of the encores. It's probably second to last song, and they usually play the longer song.
Yeah, I'd be surprised, but to your point, like I'd probably be really happy for it. Like at the same time, and they'd probably do a great job of ending with it.
You know what it is? You know why I would almost prefer it that way? Because if they come out and they play Let's Go Get Stoned, you're like, oh, this is something they're going to stretch out to 6-7 minutes at least. So this is the last song we're getting. We're just getting this one song. And then boom, you get one more song after. Like the long song has a nice little. It's like, no, don't go. Give me one more. It's the one more song.
Yeah, really. It's really nice how I've been enjoying. That was the other thing. So like at Ryman, the shows, some of the sets were like in the like 50-minute, like under an hour, but like these sets were like they stretched them out. Like even the first set was like I wrote that one down like an hour and 10 minutes, I think.
Man, you're on top of it.
Yeah, like they're like I'm nerding out on it. They're like they're played a little bit longer on these shows, and I think it's allowing them to do these like 2-set. I don't know for what reason, but
yeah.
Like I don't know why. I don't know if it's a venue thing, if it's just they wanted to. I don't know what it could be, but I really like the 2-song encores where they've kind of got the short one and then go into something fun like
sure, yeah. Yeah, no, we want more. I want more. We want as much music. We want the longest sets possible. We want the 2 sets. Every show I go to, I know that like I've talked about how I know the band loves playing with other artists and having openers and doing Wheels of Soul and all these things, which I always love as well. But you know, if I had my choice, I'd be like an evening with every show I go to. An evening with, give me 2 sets every time. Yeah. With the 12 with no guests, just the 12 is fine with me. Like I'm not gonna. That's all good. Every show I could roll with that. Should we move on to the third night 3? I see Bob is patiently waiting. And
did Bob come? Yeah.
He's in the waiting room. I had some other thought about Bob. It'll come back. But without further ado, let's bring on Bob Ozzy Farrell to the stream here. How we doing, my friend?
Hey,
I see you. I hear you. What you got? You're using your phone there?
Yeah. I got my iPad.
You could turn it the other way, and then we'll get you in the wide shot.
That way you like it.
Oh, there we go. Oh, we got you. Let me.
Better? All right. Good.
Yeah, you doing all right?
I'm doing good. A little beat. 6 hours of driving to get down there. So
yeah, you guys are troopers, especially you for traveling, Bob.
Yeah, it was supposed to be 2 nights, as I think I told you, and then my dog had surgery, so I had to cut it to 1 because of the circumstances for taking care of the hounds. So I was there for the last night. I chose the last night to go down.
Your dog's doing okay though, or what?
Yeah. So. He thinks he's fine. Oh yeah,
he thinks he's fine.
Already running around.
Yeah. I got to manage him. He's fine. That's the hard part, is trying to limit his activity. So.
Yeah, I got you. I just pulled up here the
Where do you live, Bob?
South Jersey, Jeff.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I'm based in South Jersey, so I get the East Coast.
Yeah, y'all get a lot of shows. Yeah, I have to. Yeah. I'm in Texas, so I gotta make a little bit of a trek.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. Great descriptions, man, because I am not the same. I'm kind of more of a color commentary. You're kind of a play-by-play.
Oh, well, thanks. This is my first one walking through it.
No. You know what it is. What I've noticed, because you're not a musician. You don't play any instruments, Bob, if I recall correctly.
Yeah.
That's what I have noticed. There is something to be said for having conversations with people who play music, even if you're not a professional or anything like that. It's just a little bit of a different way, and, and maybe even a skill level in terms of having the ability to describe music, which is a very challenging thing. And I've talked about that on this podcast. To talk about music is a little bit of a challenging thing. There's work, I need to expand my musical vocabulary, and not just like the Italian things all the Italian terms, but just other ways
loved
to expand my vocabulary.
Recollections, Jeff. It was great. It was so I can't wait to hear what your thoughts were on this one.
You too. Yeah, you too. If you want to, whatever you want to do, I can start it or you start.
Yeah, well, we'll jump around the set list and talk about whatever highlights jumps out at you. We don't have to go in order or anything like that. I'm learning to make this the more casual, the better. Maybe have some parameters and some method to the band. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going off track already, but I know the band has 3 shows in 3 different cities coming up in March. I think it's after Chicago. I have to pull it up. But like, I would like to do a recap of all 3 of those shows in one night, in one live stream, with 3 people who went to the different shows and had them all at the same time, and try to go through semi-chronological, but obviously, there's going to be some overlap. Oh, when they played Midnight in Harlem, my night, at night 3, they did this, and this. Oh, well, in night 2, I remember when the band did this, so that's totally cool to jump around. But Midnight in Harlem, Do I Look Worried, Gravity, Life is Crazy, Learn How to Love, All the Love, Yes We Will, and Idle Wind to close out night 3 of 3, night 6 of 6 at the Warner. I'll jump in. What something that jumped out at me was, obviously I was saying I'm Learn How to Love. Again, one of those songs that like they haven't played too much, that you probably didn't expect to hear, weren't thinking about, and were pleasantly surprised to hear. And, it's a classic TTB song, so to speak. And Derek did some very Jimi Hendrix-y things. I want to go back and listen to that on his outro solo. Just really heavy, super cool stuff. But I'll give you guys the floor and I'll listen.
See, what I thought was unusual was opening with Midnight.
Oh, yeah.
I remember I don't ever remember them opening with Midnight.
10 years ago, David Flam said.
Okay.
It sounds like the last time they did.
A buddy I was there with, Kevin, he noted that they just jammed right into it. Usually Derek kind of slow jams it into Midnight, and this time they just kind of right into it, and it was great. It was a great opener.
I think that's a message. It's a tone setter. It's a message, not an emotional tone setter, but also in a sense like, this is serious. This is light 3 of 3. We're leaving it all on the table. We are starting the show with Midnight in Harlem. You better get in your seat if you're online for whatever,
Yep. And 8:05, right, Jeff?
Yeah, right on time. We were having the same conversation. I made friends with Tom Lillis. I had the extra ticket. This was the night I had the lottery tickets I won, and I sold him the extra ticket, and we both looked at each other and we're like, what, it started with Midnight? And I didn't even recognize it at first because it didn't have the opener. I was
right.
Yeah, I was unsure for a minute.
It's like the studio version.
Yeah.
Yep.
A quick. Yeah. But to your point, like, let's get this thing going. Like, we're starting with Midnight.
And we were talking about also how they used it for an encore, earlier this year, which is like you don't know what you're gonna get. And I always joke about, like, they could pick their set list out of the hat, any of their songs to be encore, and that's kind of can be an encore, and that's kind of like playing itself out in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm. And then what I remember most is that the whole set was a jam session. It seemed. There just seemed to be one jam session after another, and that's not unusual with TTB. But it seemed like with this particular set, they were just throwing it from one to another. I saw Idle Wind was 16 minutes long. It was crazy.
I agree with you. This set was so much more like jammy than like usual, or at least. Maybe Thursday night was like there was a jazzy jam kind of thing going on, but yeah, I'm with you. And that I love the Gravity. I love Gravity. Whatever Derek's doing with the like harmonic, I don't know what it is.
Those squealy hype. Yeah,
he's like hitting like multiple notes at the same time with the slide. And
I joke that he added frets to the guitar.
Yes, probably.
and Gabe's picking it up too. Gabe's like really banging the keys, and he's kind of like kind of picking it up on some of the back end and really dueling with Derek on gravity. It's really nice to see. It's really cool.
Oh yeah. They like bounce off each other really well. And then the mic life is crazy. I mean, all the mic stuff is just I'm kind of really enjoying Mike's songs. I feel like he's getting more I feel like before at some point there was like shows where maybe he wouldn't have a song in a set, but it feels like almost every set he's got something where he's coming out and singing front.
Definitely every night, if not every set, certainly. And a song like Life is Crazy obviously has more upbeat songs. Like in the second set, what did he have? He have what's the Derek Trucks Band song that they covered? The upbeat one.
I know.
No, it was "Get What You Deserve." That obviously has a certain style to it, but a lot of the Mike songs have a lot of quirky elements to it. Be they the Emmylines, the Life is Crazies, and the Right on Times and stuff. And then this fits right into that. It's like it starts off, you're like, what is this quirky, slow, weird song I'm listening to? And then it slowly builds, and you're like, wow, this is awesome and catchy, quirky but also catchy, which is a hard thing to achieve and hard to achieve that balance. And I don't know if that's something that's consciously done by Mike and the band, but I'm guessing so. I'm guessing that's a part of the method to the madness, and something that they want to achieve is something unique, but also something that can be tangible to people on an emotional level as well, and catchy and just sound great.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and then they did you were talking about, Bob, the Idlewind, that 16 minutes. I love that they do the Sahib Terry Maki Madni from the Songlines Derek Trucks album. I love how he's doing that. I'm just waiting for them, like maybe they won't ever, but I'm waiting for them to just do the whole thing. I really want it, but I love how he transitions into it and goes back, and then I can't remember if the drums came before that or after that. But
the dueling drums on that they're doing some of these songs, and I noticed that Derek and Susan are doing a lot more duels than I think that I had seen in the past this year, and the shows that I've seen this year. That they're not only in Whiskey Legs, but some of the other songs they'll kind of duel and go back and forth. Before it was kind of like Derek would take it, or Susan would take it, and they'd kind of leave each other to the solo. Whereas there's at least one or two songs in every set now where they end up kind of dueling, going back and forth with it, and it just builds and builds and builds, and it's just awesome to watch.
Did we get that in set 2 on Get What You Deserve? I think that's one of the songs where they go back and forth on the end. Get What You Deserve, Outside Woman Blues, Whiskey Legs.
They might have done it on Yes We Will, I think.
Yeah. Susan was on fire. I know you were talking about Pity the Fool from the night before. I think Yes We Will was that song in this night, because Derek kind of looked at her at the end and kind of went, whoa, you're on fire. You told them.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I almost forget that, like, they, in the sense how they surprise each other, because like we hear these new things, or what we perceive as new things, from Susan or Derek, but they also see, obviously, and they know their music intimately, but they're still able to surprise each other, and that's kind of surprising to me. I'm like, yo, don't you know that Susan's gonna play? Don't you know every note? Can't you anticipate every single note and every single where she's going with every solo? But I guess not, and that's sort of the magic and joy of like, I guess, from being a part of this band from the inside looking out, is that they also are surprised by each other too.
Yep.
Yeah, it's fun to see their facial expressions. That's the thing I like about the closer seats. You get to see.
Yeah, I was gonna say Mr. Row 2, Row 1 over there.
Yeah, it's neat because she'll be like facing this way, playing the rhythm, and hear something, and she's like making some facial expressions that my perception is that she's like, whoa, like that's awesome. And similarly to you know, what Bob was saying, like Derek is like noticing when she's on fire and going into some kind of solo he hasn't heard, and is just like his eyebrows raise.
Sometimes when you're at a show, or at least when I'm at a show, you almost don't know where to look. Like, honestly, like you don't know where to focus your eyes. Sometimes I don't even want to look. When Derek's playing, I'm like, you know what? I just want to listen to this. So I'm going to kind of check out the fans, maybe even close my eyes. You don't want to do that for too long because you're paying for to see as well. But like, yeah, like I don't know where to look. So I find myself like almost consciously just like, I'm going to be like, I'm just going to pan left and right, just keep going back and forth and just kind of scanning the stage. Cause like, there's so much to see. It's so much visual stimulation, let alone, you know, listening to the music, 12 people on stage. And then you got lights and graphics, which all enhances the experience. Like nothing, there's no distractions with anything. And there's no frills at all with this band, which is something we all love. But like, sometimes I don't know where the hell to look.
Yeah, 12 pieces. 12 pieces. Where do you go? Now, the Warner, where my seats were, I was all the way far right. I like to, and I think I said this in prior podcasts, is I like to get the seats all the way on the wall on either side because I just don't like to feel like I'm blocking anybody. You know, because I'm standing, I boogie. You know, that's it. I'm not going to sit during the show. I just don't. So I don't feel like I'm blocking anybody on the side there. I have that, you know, I don't feel like I'm blocking anybody. And at the Warner, unfortunately, it blocks almost half the band sometimes because the speakers have to be on the stage. And so I miss, you know, for the last night, I couldn't see like Alicia and Mark and Mike when they were back there. I could barely see Brandon sometimes. But when Mike came up, I could still see Mike when he came up to the mic when he was doing his solos. But the sight lines were fantastic to Sue and to Derek because I was kind of up close, and so the sight lines to Sue and Derek were fantastic. So those facial expressions, as Jeff was saying, are fun to watch, and especially when they're enjoying each other's work. And I think I said that last time I was on, Adam, is when they're enjoying each other's work is really fun to see because they really get a kick out of it. They get a kick out of watching each other bang these solos out.
Yeah. Well, like BB King says, you get paid to travel. The show is the most fun thing. So that never gets old to them. And especially when you're not to go back, but like when they're playing songs like Soul Sweet Song, it's like you can't mail that in. You can't be not emotionally affected by especially a song like that. So like just like all these songs I think affect them very deeply in a way that like we're so deeply affected by them. Imagine what it's like to write the song about Kofi and dedicate it to him and go through the processes of recording it. I mean, it's super emotional. I'm sure like they recall a ton of feelings and thoughts and about the recording and of course about Kofi himself as they play it. Like you can't mail it in because there's songs that are there's too much substance to all of them to not give them the proper love and dedication from city to city, I feel like.
Yeah, it's just not them either, you know? There's just so much to each of these songs, so many intricacies and so many parts, like the 12-piece band, like I don't think it's even possible because they're all always lifting each other. Like even if there was one person that was having, you know, an off night, you wouldn't notice because I feel like they'd all rally each other. Yeah,
I can't notice that. I love all the love, by the way. I'm such a fan of that. I love anything that they do that has a psychedelic tinge to it. Certainly, like the Circles Around the Sun and all the love from the new one. Just that Middle Eastern kind of sound. I dig it. Certainly. Reminds me of what's that? I don't know if you're Guns N' Roses fans. They had a song where they did like a Middle Eastern sort of outro from Use Your Illusion 1 where Slash did a real sort of Middle Eastern-y solo. And it kind of reminded me of that a little bit. What Derek was doing. Obviously, he takes Derek's on his own on a whole nother level. But Double Talk and Jive. I don't know if you guys know that song. It starts. It's like an upbeat Guns N' Roses song, and then it ends with like sort of a slower down Middle Eastern-y outro song in a way that all the love does. I'm just partial to that type of music. Anything that like even that's like a throwback to the 60s. A lot of 60s songs had those, and obviously the Beatles had their Eastern influences as well. Good stuff all
The way
around.
he works Derek works the slide with the it's like the sitar kind of sound
Right.
that he's pulling out. Yeah.
Right. Should we dive into night or set 2?
Uh-huh.
We got So Long Savior, anyhow, Playing With My Emotions, Where My Friends, Stand Back, Mr. Clean, The Feeling Music Brings, Gilded Splinters, Bound for Glory, Angel, Angel from Montgomery, and there was a Sugary in that too, I believe.
Yeah.
And a Get What You Deserve and Space Captain. I listened to all of this. I didn't get to Get What You Deserve or Space Captain, but I heard everything else. Gilded Splinters, they keep just taking that song to another level, and I think they're playing it more than they're playing really anything in 2023. But it just keeps getting better and better and getting more and more intense in a profound, powerful, tribal way. Like they must really love playing that song to play it seemingly almost every other night, if not more often than that even.
I love that song. I've been a big fan of that song from like Dr. John version of it, and I love what they do with it, and like that tribal sound and the I don't know what you call that, but when they're all singing the
harmonies,
the harmonies on it, it's just like that like tribal kind of, I don't know how to describe it, but it's freaking awesome. I love what they've done with it. Yeah,
I think we almost forget, because sometimes I'll go back, of course, and listen to Tedeschi Trucks Band from 2018, from 2016, from 2014, 2015, like the pre-Alicia days, like just talking about her harmony vocals. It is a very different quality hearing the two males and the female voice versus just hearing Mike and Mark. Like if you go back and listen to like 20 pre-Alicia, you'll notice a difference in just like how the band sounds. And to think about Mike and Mark, or Mark and Alicia on I Wish I Knew How to Be Free, like that is really the Tedeschi Trucks Band sound. It's not Tedeschi, it's not Trucks, but the sound that they create and these other musicians that bring their own uniqueness to the band, like that is Tedeschi Trucks. Mark Rivers is Tedeschi Trucks. Alicia is Tedeschi Trucks too, like in just as many ways as the main players are as well, like in the sound that they bring to the band and their contributions. So that's just totally appreciated. Go back and listen to pre-Alicia. You'll miss it. You'll miss her, not even just her solos I'm talking about, but like her contributions to the harmony vocals and what her and Mike, the sound that her, Mike, and Mark are able to achieve together is a special thing. And don't take it for granted, because it's something that we haven't always had in this band.
Yeah, and she killed it in Bound for Glory. She took her solo and killed it again. But I love Gilded Splinters because I like turning around and seeing the whole theater rocking, because that gets everybody up and everybody's moving, and you can see almost. And I think that's why the band likes it, because it really gets everybody kind of rocking in the same way, and everybody kind of got the same rhythm. It's great to watch.
It's not a song that like it's a Dr. John cover. Is that correct? It's a Dr. John cover. I don't know how many Tedeschi Trucks fans know that or are familiar with his version. I know Sonny and Cher did actually a really cool version that I play once in a while as well. But it's different, like how you were describing like an Allman Brothers song. As soon as you hear a riff or a lyric that you recognize that's Allman Brothers, the first note of Dreams, everybody goes crazy and stands up. But for a cover like that maybe some people don't know, that really gets the crowd going. It's impressive, and it's a testament to TTB and how much they're able to not just make songs their own, but I think elevate them as well.
Yeah, it's a good point though, Bob, because for whatever it was, the first 3 rows for the Saturday night, it was just maybe like 20% standing, which I was surprised, but and the other 2 nights weren't that way. But that was, I think, if I remember correctly, that was the song where everyone finally started getting up.
I was I saw that section because that was the section next to mine, and there was like 3-4 rows that were sitting down, and then I was having some issues not behind me, but the folks next to me were standing, and the folks behind them. Now this is the 3rd row. We're sitting down, And for the first half of the first set, they just kept harassing the people in front of them to sit down. And I just didn't understand that. I mean, I don't. I guess it was for me. I was kind of like, was this the first Tedeschi Trucks show? Because if you're in the first few rows at a Tedeschi Trucks show, you gotta expect to stand sometime.
I would assume almost at any show that you could call a rock concert.
Well, out of respect for the artist, if the people in front of you are standing, you shouldn't be telling them to sit down. It's respect for the artist. If the expression of the folks in front of you is to stand up in appreciation for the artist, okay, if you want to sit down, sit down. But appreciation for the artist, don't tell those folks not to appreciate the artist, because I think the artists like to see folks standing.
It's not a classical concert.
Exactly. I think they like to see folks up standing and boogie, and that's my opinion. I don't know.
Well, this debate will never end,
Yeah,
and it's going to go on and on
That's
forever.
But yes, I noticed that too, Jeff.
But essentially, if you're on the floor, you're in the orchestra, like, expect to stand. If you want to sit, probably the balcony is the place to be. Seems to be like the general rule of thumb.
But in the end, TTB got them up and dancing. Even the people behind me were up and dancing by the end of the show, and that's what TTB does. Is it gets them up and dancing. They couldn't sit down. They couldn't stay in their seats because TTB got them up and dancing.
The same thing happened. That was the silver lining of it all. I had a person behind me tap my shoulder and asked me to sit at one point, and I actually was nice. I like moved over and like helped so they had like a sight line. So I kind of like squinched in with the person next to me. So it was like maybe I could make this work. And so I gave him a little bit better sight line. But I went to the bath. I had to like run to the bathroom at like, I think I went Feeling Music Brings. So I ran to the bathroom, and when I came back, Gilded Splinters was starting. Like they were doing the rim shocks and like the opener they do with the drums.
Right.
And I get to my row, and they're all standing. I'm like, yes.
That's nice of you. And not, instead of being like, you hypocrites, finally you come around. Oh, now you come around 7 songs into the set list. I remember, this makes me think, I mentioned this on the podcast, but I remember a show in LA. I don't remember what year it is. And the band went into Sweet and Low, which they almost never play live. And I was like, I'm standing for this. Like, I'm ready to stand for this. And then I looked around. I noticed that pretty much everybody was sitting. I think I'm sure some real upbeat, high tempo song was played before, and they were bringing it down. So it's like everyone kind of was ready to relax a little bit, even the people who were standing. But I was like, I'm ready to stand for Sweet and Low. I'm down. I'm in for standing, because the emotional impact on the song is not always correlated to the tempo of the song for me. You know what I mean? Like, I want to stand for Midnight in Harlem, even though if it's a little bit more of a laid back tune compared to a Get What You Deserve or something like that. I stand for Sweet and Low. If the band plays Sweet and Low, you'll see me. I'll be that. I'll be that guy.
Well, that's the feeling that music brings.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, one they haven't been playing all that much in 2023. They brought it back, I think, during was it the Fireside? Maybe some of those sessions and the tours. I remember they played it, but yeah, I don't know if they played it this year or more than once or twice.
Not really. I was mentioning like the feeling, like the literal feeling that music brings to get your body moving.
No, I know.
Yeah. I don't think they've played that in a while. Yeah. Maybe
I love the original on Susan's solo album when she just like her and Derek going back and forth. I like when they do the duels with his guitar and her vocals going back and forth when they're doing the call and response. That's always super fun. And like, I know music is more about communicating feelings, but I am genuinely impressed with the skill and the precision. Like, he'll play a lick and she'll sing the lick back to him, but not just sing it back to him, put her own sort of it's a response. It's not it's not a repeat, but there is the repeating element. It's like, I hear what you're saying, and I'm going to say this, it's a call and response essentially. Yeah.
It's like a jazz. Yeah.
Did they do that on Feeling? Too. Did they do that on Feeling Music Brings something?
Yeah.
I'm sure they did some cool stuff to stretch out that one. Yeah.
She's like going off on the vocals, and then he's He's doing a quick riff. Yeah, they're having a conversation between the guitar and her voice. It's almost like a jazz thing conceptually, like where the instruments are having a conversation, but her instrument's just her vocals.
And they don't overuse these elements like we were talking about. Even if they've been doing a little bit more of the guitar dueling back and forth, they have so many different choices that they can make. Like, the her vocal with his guitar, or two guitars back and forth in some of these songs. But I guess this song was written and a little bit more truer to the original recording with her vocal and his guitar doing the sort of back and forth on, towards the end. Cool stuff all around, certainly.
Yeah.
So Long Savior was cool to hear, and they did Give Me Back My Wig also. I know attached to that. Just fun stuff.
Yep.
I didn't catch that.
I was hoping that I'd hear Chevrolet after that, because they had been doing that often. Anyhow, into Chevrolet. I thought that would have been fun and funny to hear.
But in some ways, it was almost a surprise that you didn't hear it, because that's what they've been doing the last 2 or 3 times. So you're like, oh, we're getting Chevrolet next step. You hear anyhow, we're probably getting a Chevrolet too. But no, you're not getting a Chevrolet. You're getting a Playing With My Emotions, which seems to be a consensus song that's just grown more and more on everyone. And really, I keep commenting on the harmony vocals at the end and the haunting quality to that, and how much that song has become a catchy one in my own brain.
Well, and I like the horn accents in that one too. I love the horns coming in and playing.
Right. Horns make everything better. It's like bacon.
Yeah.
Yep. Where Are My Friends? Another weird Mike song that you just kind of, it grows on you while you're literally listening to it, and just has its own unique feel and quality and quirkiness. But and again, another one that you don't know that you're going to hear or expect to hear, that sort of just catches you a little bit by surprise if you're going to these shows.
Yeah, that song's definitely grown on me. I like the Playing With My Emotions too. That one's like becoming more like a main song, like a Let Me Get By or something. It's almost like a sing along.
A little pop quality to it.
Yeah, there's like some pop stuff going on with it. I agree. Where Are My Friends? I like kind of glanced over it when the albums came out, but the more I'm hearing it live, the more I'm digging it.
Yeah, there's no filler. There's no filler on any of those 4 albums. It's all stellar stuff. And I guess that's partially can be due to the way they release the albums in a manner of which, like, you're able to consume them a little slowly and more slowly and dive into each of the 4 albums at a time. But like I always say, like, if they put out all 24 at once, eventually I'll get around to loving it. I would love all of them, but like, you know what I'm saying?
You can just only process so much,
right? Yeah. At a time. Mm-hmm. Like people would be like, if they dropped all 4 at once, people would have listened to the whole thing, and I would have been like, "Oh, I'm still listening to Crescent right now. I heard everything once, but I'm still listening to Crescent like 70 times in a row before I start listening to the other ones a second time." That's kind of how I would like, and that's what we were able to do, was listen to Crescent 70 times, and then 71 through 100, you're listening to the next one, and then you go back to Crescent, and then it feels fresh. Like this. Everything is just stays fresh now because they've added so much to their catalog. So everything there's the ability for them to surprise us, the fans, with their live shows even that much more. We were already on our toes in terms of what they were going to play, but now you really don't know what you get. And the fact that I Am the Moon is sort of not aged, but like it's been around since last year, so they're not always playing, the full Crescent or the full whatever, or you really don't know. They're really mixing it up with the new stuff and the old stuff and the covers, and we're lucky.
Yep. And last year it was neat because they were on tour, and I caught them a couple times last summer, and you'd get they'd have the first album out, so you got a lot of the first album, and then you see in the second time you got a lot of the second album, and then by the time the Beacon rolled around, all 4 were out, and you got a lot of all of them. It was great.
Well, I remember, I forget who said it in an interview or something, like maybe it was Derek or Susan, but they were, I was like, I was almost thinking as soon as the fourth one is released or the third one's released, we're gonna hear all those songs live. They're gonna finally release, they're gonna start playing. But I think they were even like, oh, we got to work on them a little more. We got to learn like the third and fourth albums before we start bringing them on the road. Because I was like, oh, as soon as those I Am the Moon videos come out, next show, boom, we're gonna get all the new ones. But they had to kind of slow release them live also to kind of learn them and perfect them at least to the standard that meets their standard, so to speak. What else jumps out at you guys? I know Stand Back and Mr. Clean has been super awesome. They've been closing some shows with that here. They threw it right in the middle of the second set.
Yeah, I loved the Stand Back and Mr. Clean. I was looking forward to hearing that, and Ephraim's soloing on that. I'm wondering who brought that, whose idea that was. But yeah, that I love that song, and Ephraim does an amazing job with that one. And I love how they end it and like play the final riff of Stand Back like at the end of it. To like close it out. They kind of come back into Stand Back.
We gotta ask Bobby T's. One of us has gotta like tag him in the fans Facebook group or something and just be like, how did Mr. Clean become part of the set once and for all? What is the story? Maybe I could, if I'd done more research, I could find out that information.
Yeah.
But I would almost have to guess that it came from horns, either Ephraim or Kebby or something like that. Terra Nova T in the comments, got to be Ephraim, but wondering too, the history of how that song came into the set. But did they on this version? Did they go back into Stand Back the groove at the end? Like they've been kind of doing that on when they at least been using it on the encore. I don't know if they.
I remember it being like just one quick riff. I don't remember.
Right, just they went back into the riff.
It was like the final riff, like right at the end.
Yeah.
So if you're ask about if someone knows Bobby, ask about Footprints too. I'm curious, same thing. Like Mr. Clean, then who thought of Footprints?
Well, wasn't that Wayne Shorter.
Yeah, but it's not like somebody had to have been like, we should do Footprints for Wayne. Like there's other songs they could have done that like they could have not done a song,
Yeah.
I'm curious about that.
Mm-hmm. Anything else for set 2 you guys want to comment on? Or Get We Deserve, I'm sure, Rock the House and Space Captain is always a fun way to close the set.
I think it was Space Captain with Elizabeth solo, which, when I see Elizabeth getting ready to do her solo, the camera comes out and I record as much as I can of every solo she does, because her back and forth with Derek is always a hit, and it's always a pleasure to watch. She rocks. She really does.
Terra Nova T in the comments saying Footprints was covered by Derek in the past.
Oh, awesome.
Good stuff.
So that could have easily been him then.
Yeah, I love those, the Elizabeth solos. Like, I feel like we don't even realize, or maybe at least I don't realize because I'm not a saxophone player, trombone player, horn player. I used to play trumpet a little bit, but like, they're like elite players. Like they have extensive catalogs. Obviously, I spoke to Kebby on the podcast and dove into his discography and like saw all his amazing credits. But like in some ways, if you need a sax player, you call Kebby. If you need a trombone player on your record, you call Elizabeth. If you need a trumpet player, you call Ephraim. Like these are the people. Like who else would you call? I don't know. I'm not in that world, I guess. I'm sure they're not the only ones, but you can't go wrong with calling any of these people up if you need a horn player. So impressive what they do.
Yeah, it's so much fun when she stretches out the like deep guttural notes. I wish I knew it. Yeah, I love that you get those on video.
Yeah, I don't break out the camera often because I try to be in the moment, so I don't like to break out the camera that often. I catch a few moments here and there, but when Elizabeth, I got the camera right there and I'm watching, and it's a shaky video because I'm rocking, so it's always a shaky video, but it's good. I can hear it.
Oh, I love that.
What about any other highlights outside of the shows for you guys? Jeff was talking about a little bit about meeting up with some fans and seeing fans and things like that. Any interaction with any of the band members for you guys while there? Get a chance to say hello to anyone or?
Yeah. I saw the guys. I found the backstage entrance, and I talked to Bobby T, and got to say hello to Ephraim and to Kevy. I actually had my sunglasses, Adam. So I put them down. I said, "Never let him say you squint, right, Kevy?" Of course, he had his sunglasses on. But yeah, they as always, very cool. Always, very gracious and saying hello. But I always just say, "Hey, have a good show." Give them a fist pump and have a good show.
Yeah,
I gave out a few Eagles, Adam. No, I got a few Eagles pins out to the guys.
Very cool. Very cool. I appreciate that. Yeah, no, like I talked about in a couple of recent episodes, like the access that we're often able to get to the band, just by hanging out at the stage door by the bus if able to. It seems like the band is just very open to that kind of stuff and just saying hello and having conversations with the fans. And it's more about like the venue and the logistics. If anything, the band doesn't seem to go out of their way to avoid the fans. It just seems like certain cities and certain venues just like make that feasible to have that easy access, and others just don't. It's not like the band has changed since 2010. They're like, no, everyone needs to stay away. Then you can't even catch a glimpse of them going in or out. But they're just so cool and so accessible.
Yeah, I made friends with the guy Tom that I sold the ticket to, and he said there's a big group that he's become friends with that we're all in town from the whole like coast, like New York and Philadelphia and New Jersey. And so he's like, yeah, we're all going to dinner. It was like right around the corner, and like come out. So like get some food after the show. So I went and hung out with them for like an hour or so. And sure enough, the band came in the restaurant and like walked through, and some of them knew some of the guys in the band. So like Susan gave a couple of them a hug and like waved and said hi. I was like so happy that all these fans were together. And Derek like walked right by, and then like we saw Alicia and Brandon walk by. Brandon gave like a big smile and a big wave. But I don't think, those are the main people that can't.
Yeah, they have to remember some of these fans, and I can name some of them that go to like show after show and city after city, like year after year. Like I kind of joke around, like if you've been to like, I know some people have been to like almost every single Beacon show or been to 80, 100, 200 plus Susan, Derek, all like when you combine all these things, it's even more. But I feel like those people can go up to, if they're in conversation with Derek or Susan or some of the band, and it's okay for them to suggest songs. You know what I mean? If you've been to like 200 TTB shows and given that much time, effort, and money and travel expenses and all this stuff to the band and supporting them, I think it's okay if you say, maybe if you could do this Stevie Wonder song for me, it would be cool. Or how about this Clapton one? You guys, I don't think you've ever played. Like, I think that's okay, but everyone always has suggestions for songs.
So Tom next to me said that he went and talked to, I don't remember when it was, but it must have been a couple years ago. He went and talked to the lighting guy. I think his name's Chris, but he went and talked to him because his son started going to school for lighting in theater. And so he was starting to ask him stuff and ended up asking if his son could like shadow with him one day. And they let his son come and shadow and see how it's done. Yeah, because he's only doing like theater. So they let him see like the load in, like all the technical stuff that goes into setting up the lights at every single show, programming them, the power, like everything around it, the hanging it up. And he said his birthday was Friday. And so he's become kind of friends with him. And he says his birthday's Friday. And he went up to him and said, I don't ever ask for anything, but I noticed like you've been putting up the like eagle on the backdrop for any of the like Let Me Get By songs. And he said, if it works out, but don't worry about it. Like, it'd be awesome if you could like put that up there just like as a shout out for my birthday. And he's like, anyway, so he said he asked that, and during Let's Go Get Stoned at the end, I didn't notice it, but Tom told me the story. He said at the end, Let's Go Get Stoned, he did the logo of the eagle,
Nice.
which is, yeah. So I thought he told me I could tell that, but I thought that was a really cool story.
And that's just a fan who connected with a lighting crew member, essentially, of TTB.
Yeah, the main lighting guy. Yeah,
yeah, that's correct. That's just a random fan. Like, but if you come genuine and you come from a genuine place, and obviously his son is genuinely interested in that field, like that's just so cool that like the band would go out of their way, like in a lot of sense, to give that sort of to be that generous with essentially a stranger. Is just I don't think the Rolling Stones are going to let me help out with their lighting rig.
Yeah, can I tell you a funny story about the beacon regarding the lighting crew?
Sure.
You know, Adam, we were outside, and I met a couple of the lighting guys, and so I was joking with them, saying, "Hey, listen, don't highlight me because you know when I dance, it's not pretty." So the next night, I felt like the spotlight was on me a lot more than usual, and I got outside after the show and I asked them, and they all started laughing. And here they were. They were highlighting me.
That's I kind of like do believe that like at first hearing that you would almost think, oh, that they're just joking around. They didn't really highlight you. But I think when you do hundreds and dozens and thousands of shows, like to keep things a little bit more fun and entertain each other and yourselves, they would make fun of you.
Yeah.
They're having fun. Yeah,
they would highlight.
I imagine if like they brought you in too, you know, like make you feel more like you're a part of it.
Yeah. It was funny. I was joking with them afterwards. That wasn't fair, guys.
you really
they highlighted my dance moves.
So you really did feel like you were, the spotlight was on you a little more than normal.
I was, you know me, I like that side seat, and it was on me like I'm telling you, like half the show. Every time I've looked, I was like,
yeah, you're not dead center. You're not like you're not like facing Susan face forward or anything
and
like
it was
that.
The last night, and the last night is always the night that I pick first in the fan club, so I get the better. You know, I try to get. You know, that's usually the better seat for me is the last nights of the show. So it was, you know, I was towards the, you know, up towards the front.
There were no video cameras there. They weren't filming these shows or anything like that.
Oh, I sure hope not. No, Ez didn't catch me. Ez didn't catch me.
No, I don't think so. I don't know if they ever. Well, somebody's recording. Whoever the photographers are might do a little bit.
Yeah, but not like a Nugs type show, full show or anything like that, or pro shot with cameras that were for like a DVD or any kind of release. Just I'm sure you would have known or noticed, but
I don't see that in any of their shows. Like some of the other, like Billy's Strings does those all the time, like professionally, but I don't see them in Tedeschi Truck shows. Yeah,
other than the occasional Nug show or Red Rocks or one that they decide to put out, and like
that's true.
We're always clamoring for more shows, of course. Take all our money.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, I appreciate the time and the recap and the stories and then whatnot. I feel like I've already taken up too much of your guys' time, and you're on East Coast time and I'm on West Coast time, so it's obviously even getting a little later by you guys. Anything else you guys want to mention or even plug or promote or say? I'll kind of give you the floor to do that. Yeah.
Unless I was just going to ask Bob and you if y'all have any next shows that y'all have picked out. It'd be fun to connect in person.
I'm heading to Newark in 3 weeks. There's a show in Newark, and then the next show for me after that is Wolf Trap in Virginia.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for West Coast dates.
Okay.
Which may or may not be coming. I know that there.
The Beacon.
And perhaps the Beacon, but I think there are going to be more, obviously probably Beacon dates, of course, but I think even beyond Beacon that we will get some more dates for 2023 from the band coming up for sure. I have some people booked, I think, for that Newark show. I'm going to add you to the list if that's cool, Bob, as someone to help me recap Newark.
People aren't sick.
What's that?
People aren't sick of me.
Well, we will just. I want to get more people on. I can get up to 10 people up in these
That'd be fun.
these streams, and then I really don't have to do anything. Then I just let everyone else have the conversation. That's my goal, is to really sit back and just let everyone else carry the load. What I was talking about before was I see the band after they have 2 Chicago dates, 17th and 18th, and then 21st in Columbus, 22nd in Pennsylvania, and then the New Jersey and then the New Jersey show. So we'll see if I can do a recap with like maybe all 3 of those in one night or something. I'll figure something out. Definitely will looks like the recapping Newark is going to happen, and I have some names jotted down for Chicago. So I just want to continue to like. I think it helps me like feels like I'm following the band in a sense, like trying to recap as many of their shows. I'm like trying to keep up with them in a sense, and between the ton of recordings that have come out from 2023 and getting these recaps, I really do feel like I'm kind of like living vicariously through you guys. Like I kind of joked about like that being a goal and a plan and an intention with this, but it really is kind of like sustaining me between the conversation and the tapes. Like I feel less FOMO and less sadness that I'm not able to get to really shows at the moment, and there aren't anything really in my geographical range right now, which is fine. But yeah, I was saying how I might have to drive to, if they do like a Reno, Sacramento, Northern California, Arizona, I might stretch myself out to these, do the 5-6 hour drives or so to get to as many as I can, especially if I'm not going to be traveling to. Yeah, I thought about Red Rocks or like, Ryman would have been super awesome. That sounded like an amazing experience, perhaps even the best one, the best place to see TTB. But yeah, no, it's been super fun talking to you guys. I appreciate it. I'm rambling again. Thank you again. Anything else? We got it? We covered it all or what?
No, thank you to you, man. Yeah, I was just going to say thank you too. And you help extend the feeling of the 3 shows an extra 4th night. So the feeling's mutual and getting to kind of relive the shows and connect with Bob and more fans. So that part's been one of the bigger joys that I've gotten to experience lately.
Oh, I appreciate hearing
people.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And I think it's cool that we're able to do this like with a quick turnaround, like while it's still fresh, while the feeling is still fresh inside you, rather than like, oh, let's talk about that show I went to 3 months ago. I'm sure we could have a great conversation, especially since you're taking notes. But while it's still fresh in our minds, hearts, and souls, I think it makes for a better recap and a better conversation for sure.
Yeah.
Cool. Y'all set?
Okay, thanks, Adam.
Well, thank you. Let's talk soon, guys.
Thanks, Jeff.
Good thanks, Bob. Cheers,
Later.
guys.
Peace. So there you go, episode 107 with Jeff Fink and Bob Ozzy Farrell. That was super fun. I thank them for their time they spent helping me recapping for me these shows. I kind of feel like I was there, honestly, like just from listening to it, and especially after these recaps. And I can't wait to dive back into all these songs that Alex Leary has so graciously taken the time to record and share with us on the archive.org TTB archive. Yeah, I think that's pretty much all I got. To follow the show, it's at Tedeschi Trucks Podcast on Instagram, on YouTube. Just search Tedeschi Trucks Podcast. Please subscribe. I'm at Adam Choid on Twitter and Instagram if you want to follow me and check out my other podcasts and short film projects and everything else I'm working on. Please subscribe on whatever platform you listen to podcasts on. Tedeschi Trucks Band, their official website is TedeschiTrucksBand.com. That's TedeschiTrucksBand.com. Buy tickets to shows, buy the merch, join the Swamp Family Club, peruse their site. Lots of great stuff on there and on their social media too. Definitely follow them at Derek and Susan on Twitter, Instagram, and I'm sure other platforms as well. But I think that's pretty much all I got for today. I appreciate you guys listening. We'll see if I get any other episodes out or put out some stuff before the Chicago shows, which I think, what did I say, the 17th and 18th later this month. I'll double check that. Yes, 17th and 18th. So maybe the 19th or the 20th would probably be when I would put out a recap for the band's 2 Chicago shows. But on that note, I appreciate the support. I appreciate the listeners, people watching. I appreciate the band, and let's talk soon. Later, guys.